Well, hello and welcome to Call Us Spade a Spade. We are live from the Spiderweb studio. My name is Conchita Lillian.
My name is Benji Ndolo.
Benji.
Good to see you, Conchi.
You too, my darling.
Mukamba.
What's yada, yo? What's yada?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I thought you were frustrated.
You see the little gray hair on your thing, the little one? You know what it means?
Nimeko mamas.
No.
What
you know
does
what
it
it
mean?
means?
No.
Money is coming.
Ooh. Preach to that. Salute. Speaking of money.
1.1B.
So we have 1.1B new church state house.
Why?
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 Tell me.
Why?
Why, Benji? No, I'm asking you.
Why?
Yes, why?
Jesus was even a poor man. A simple man. A man in sandals.
Jesus wasn't rich.
A man on a donkey.
He went to the synagogue.
Hey, manze.
So what's going on? What's all this? What is the president trying to do? And what's the obsession with churches in this country currently? I feel like we have so many. Sasa Zakayo. My question is, the 1.2B that is going to be used for this alleged 8,000 seaters church at State House of all places, let's start with that. Pesa inatoka money taxpayer.
I feel like, Conchita, all these problems the country is having, and you've seen how it's been the last few weeks. Saba is next week. You saw June 25th the other day. You saw what happened in Homa Bay County yesterday. They torched a police station. You saw the numbers. You saw the anger with the youth. You watched JKL day before yesterday. Jeff Koinange Live. The anger is palpable. But I feel that all these issues are the president's own making, and it makes me very sad.
But my question is, what is wrong with Billy? No offense. Nani tusitumie Subaru, DCI, my G.
Who's your sound effect? Yeah, I know.
No Subaru gang. We're just asking, what is the situation with Billy at this point?
I just feel that the president should know better.
For me, my concern
because he's not dumb.
He's not dumb, but my concern is I would want to think for someone who was raised by a poor family, I would be doing better to make sure that my people are also doing better. But it's more of like, this week we're mad at something, next week we have not even healed, we're mad at something, the other week we're even mad at something. I was coming here with an Uber guy and I'm like, hey, umona yo 1.2.
Yeah, people are
angry. Kakanyaga brakes.
Yeah, people are angry. That's
people
a fact.
Angry.
And there's a disconnect between the people and government because I think that the loyalists around the president live in an alternative universe, a different world.
Are they just greedy?
Yeah, they enjoy
Let's call a spade a spade.
Pork, the fat. Let's call a spade a spade. And so in their world, everything is fine. And they lie to the president. The president has had an opportunity to pivot. Remember the interview he did with Kina Latif?
I remember it.
A year ago.
Yes.
I think it was
he was
a year and 2
oblivious.
days ago.
He was oblivious to what was happening.
And a lot of issues were raised, and all he has to do is pay attention to the issues and then pivot. That's the word I always use. The government must pivot. It's not when you're in a hole, you don't continue digging.
Yes. But this one is more than digging.
We got to Gen Z revolt through Finance Bill 2024.
Which they passed in 2025.
Through the rantings, true. But though to be fair, it was a much softer version, much more acceptable, you could call it, version. Through the rantings of people like David Ndii and the insults. Through the rantings of Kimani, not Ichungwa, but the other one.
Not even Ichungwa. Ichungwa is always in his feelings. Like, oh my God, okay. Sometimes I see his tweets and I'm just like,
and so when you're in a situation, you do not continue on the same path. There's nothing to prove. And I've said this many times. I believe I've said that, Conchita, on this show as well. There's several things that the leadership must do.
Yeah.
Number one is to understand and internalize the Constitution 2010. All right? And then under Article 3.1 to uphold and defend that Constitution. Now, this might sound like boring stuff, but this is the pathway to success.
Yeah.
The way to fix issues is not to do, for example, what Passaris is trying to do. Retrogressive bills.
Passaris, let's give it up for her, first of all. The dream girl of Kenya. What is wrong with her?
Effect, by the way.
Yes, I gave her the effect.
I didn't hear it.
I gave her the effect.
She's an errand girl for the powers that be.
I like how you're calling her an errand girl because, sorry, just to cut you short.
No, you didn't.
Miguna, a few years back, did an interview and he literally called her bimbo. Yes. And that time, because we are not understanding what's going on, we'll be like, oh, what?
So she's selling color, that she's
Miguna,
brown,
what are you doing? But right now,
clueless, yes.
Yeah, but right now, it's like she's proving Miguna correct all the time.
So Conchita, we have a Constitution 2010.
Yes.
The Constitution sets out inalienable rights.
Okay.
Among those is the right to freedom, expression, to picket, etc.
Yes.
You do not amend the Constitution through the back door, through legislation. Because Law 101 dictates that if a piece of legislation is contrary to the Constitution, then to the extent that it is contrary, it is null and void to that extent.
Yes.
So what is there is, I think the president, because he never even supported the Constitution in the first place, maybe, and he
was
has a lot
one of the
money.
opposition for the Constitution.
Correct. Yeah, he was in the no campaign. Maybe one, if they're so unwilling to implement the Constitution, maybe what he should do is invest in annulling the Constitution or doing a referendum to vacate the Constitution and maybe pass another Constitution. That's obviously very retrogressive.
Yes,
but to pass bad bills, which Kinaduale did, by the way, under Uhuru, to pass bad bills, to water down independent commissions, to water down independent offices such as the Office of Control of Budget, Office of Auditor General.
But it's like they don't listen. They don't get to... okay. One thing that everyone has been talking about, the biggest issue has been, you don't listen. Please listen. You don't listen. Please listen. And if you look at it, at the end of the day, what the people of Kenya are really asking for is good governance. Correct. They're not even asking for much.
Correct.
Like, we know you can steal. We don't mind you stealing. Atakama, it's like 20%. But do something with the 80%.
No, I don't think it's right for us to on a broadcast say that we don't mind them stealing.
I'm just saying, from a layman perspective.
Yeah, you're talking about excess.
I'm talking about the excess.
So obviously they're
looting every single thing. And then from the whatever it is that is left, it's like they're eating the entire cow. They're leaving it the tail. And then they also want to eat part of the tail.
It's just completely unacceptable.
It is unacceptable.
It is unacceptable.
Yeah.
It has put the country in a very difficult situation because we are in a soft crisis. We are ever just latching from one crisis to the next.
Every single week?
Yeah, every single week after week. It's not a way to live, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of national anger. There's a lot of denial on the part of the ruling class. The government is increasingly unpopular.
Yes, it is.
The government is increasingly on defense mode. It is really all the mess that I would not have imagined 2 years ago.
When it comes to the defense mode, Murkomen, when there was this issue of the guy that got shot from close ranger, there's a video of...
Boniface Kariuki?
Yes, Boniface Kariuki, who suddenly passed. May you rest in peace. There's a video circulating online of Murkomen saying, if anything, shoot to kill.
Yeah, because Murkomen is Murkomen. Murkomen is not competent.
There is that new impeachment that people just filed the other day, a petition for him to be impeached. But we know Murkomen is normally moved from one docket to the other docket
because he's very close to the
other
president.
docket.
So this kind of erratic behavior and incompetence is what is never going to help. Is never going to help the administration. Murkomen is an errand boy. I
like how you're just calling everyone. So does it mean that everyone in this government is an errand person?
No, we just call a spade, and we just call it exactly like it is. And I say these things with all honesty, and with all due respect, because, of course, I could, if I misstate, assertions, I'm open to lawsuits. But
yes.
I mean, even he knows that. I know, we know each other personally. And the sad part about it, and I tell these people all the time, is a lot of government operatives have continued to sink the president into a hole. I mean, I was looking at June 25th last week. Recently. Yeah. Not the original, but the
anniversary.
Yeah, when they fenced off Parliament.
Yes, what was that?
And I asked myself, if I was the president in there, the president is a human being, how do you feel about the fact that so many people want you out?
I don't think he feels.
I
really don't think he feels. And you know what? We are just going to take a small break whereby we'll be back. We talk about...
It's not easy.
But at least for the first time, we know that he uses an iPhone, so it's
all
fine.
the name calling, etc.
And we are back, Benji. We were saying before that, at least we discovered that the president uses an iPhone.
We're back like we never left. Yes.
I thought that there was that thing whereby he was saying, oh, we're going to have phones being manufactured in the country. So why is he not supporting Kenyan by Kenyan? Ama tujafika hapo.
There's been a lot of talk. And we need less talk, more action.
Yes.
We need much less talk, more action. It's really sad. I saw the other day, and I have urged the administration to understand how the Gen Z revolt happened. It's a different era. We're in the 21st century. We're online. People are very, very much informed and knowledgeable and searching. So when the president just goes and wears a brand new 5 million shilling watch, people notice that. And it's
not made in Kenya.
Yeah, that too. And honestly, I was just hoping for a pivot so that we move from the issues that caused the revolt in the first place and we go into something else. But I feel we also need to discuss the opposition guys are in
even before you move to the opposition. One of the things I've come to notice is the government is really not taking accounts to its faults. And there's one thing that they keep on saying, which is so wrong. And they're using the tribal card. Every single time it's tribal, it's tribal. If you look at the pets, and I'm going to call them, they're like teachers' pets, you know. You call them errands are people. I'm calling them like the teachers' pets. You know, like teachers' pets whereby they just want
Blue-eyed boy.
Exactly.
Like what Kalonzo was to Moi.
So what I notice is... Call a spade.
Yeah, call a spade a spade.
What I notice, which is so wrong, is the fact that they're not taking accountability to the fact that there are issues in the country. But what they're just saying is they're using the, I want to say the Moi era kind of vibe, tactics, whereby they're like, it's tribal. One thing I'm going to be, like, if we're just to be honest, there's nothing tribal about the Gen Z stroke millennial movement.
And there shouldn't be.
It can be, because one of the thing is, most of them don't even speak their mother tongues.
True.
They don't. You tell someone, Okaba, iyo ni nini? You know?
And remember, Conchi, and I said this, I think, on our last show. I can speak on this authoritatively because I was on the first Gen Z protest. I was
there as well now.
Good girl. And I noticed, even on the broadcast the other day, when the lady was talking about her son who was abducted, she said, majenzi unajua wanapendana. Yes. So she said, when you're shot, wengine walirudi wakambeba.
Yes.
And I talked about that on the first broadcast. There's something very different about Gen Z. There are a few weaknesses, yes, we'll talk about that, which is why Ndiangui did the dumb stuff he did yesterday, sound effect.
Which one is that?
Yeah, kujia abduct, sijui kufanya nini, kurudi amesheviwa.
We'll hold that. We're coming back to that.
But Gen Z don't care about tribes. Even right now as we sit here, I don't know the tribe of my producer. And I really don't know your
producer
tribe. I know. It doesn't matter. I just care that he can really do the job.
Yes.
That he's punctual, that he's principled, that he's skilled. And so this classification of politics, this mobilization, and you know the funny thing is Ruto had moved away from that when he was actually moving. When you remember when you talk about bottom up, Ruto had completely castigated Raila and those other guys for trying to do ethnic census.
Yes.
So the problem with our politicians is also a lack of ideology in the sense that you have to ask yourself now, does the president even believe the things he says himself? Because now if he's going back to Mamba ya Ukabila...
Yes, and he's the one who's like, Mamba Ukabila to
And of course Gachagua as well.
Exactly.
Gen Z don't care anything about politics. And let me take this opportunity, by the way, as we go further, to give you 5 or 6 reasons or 6 constituencies that should worry the president. 6 constituencies that have left UDA and that are going to be a big problem for 2027. And this is all in the context of what is happening. Number 1, Gen Z.
Of course.
And Gen Z has infected Paka, millennials
and all that.
Paka, Gen
but for me,
I
like the fact that the Gen Z have infected the millennials because we've been very...
they're a constituency.
Yes, we've been very comfortable.
Yes, so that's Gen Z. Number 2 is the church. Church ndio ilikuwa ya kwanza kumtoka.
Hapo kwa church
imekuwa very
anajenga church ya
problematic
1.2B.
The church as an institution, not the building that he's doing. The church in general has been the first to really give Ruto a headache. I remember Bishop Wanjiru.
Before they
went. Sai, church is a problem.
Before wapatiwe nini bahasha. No. Let's call it.
It was a big minority.
It is a problem when it's not favoring them, dollar.
It's been a very big problem, and I'm
for that one I'll have to agree to disagree.
church imekuwa ni noma sana. Number 3, anybody with a payslip. Anybody with a payslip, because of the cuts, because of SHA, because of the increments,
that I agree.
because of housing levy and what have you, all of those things have been a very big problem. Number 4, we had 22 million registered voters. Raila apparently took 6.9 million. The president took 7.1 million. 8 million did not vote.
Yes.
Of the 8 million, you cannot tell me, like, with all this mess, that any one person from the 8 million would go and vote for the government. So that's another constituency. A whole 8 million who would be really against the incumbent. And they just absolutely would not be able to be convinced otherwise.
But you see, there's one
that's
thing.
That's a huge threat.
That's a huge threat. But the other thing is, I will tell you how they're going to argue it, and I just want to give them facts. Most of them, they're still using, and again, I feel like our politicians need to start using their brains more before they speak and they type. I saw someone saying, oh, Ruto alitukuja na 7.9 million. And what I'm thinking is, most of that 7.9 million don't want him.
It's actually 7.1 million.
Oh, 7.1.
Let's just give it even half already have gone.
Half already have gone.
Yes, half already have gone.
Yes.
And there's another 8 million who had not voted for him.
There's another 8 million who had voted for him.
Yeah, so that's a big problem.
Yes, and the ones who also were voting for, I'll say, you find that most of them, Raila, they're no longer really worshipping him. Like
so Raila's also lost 50%.
Also, Raila's lost
Correct.
some people.
Correct.
So it's one of the things whereby when I see them talking about the broad-based government, I'm like, I feel like you guys need to really think.
It's why Homa Bay was on
box.
fire yesterday. But let me continue to the last 2 constituencies so that I can demonstrate my point and we can move on to the next. And so that the government can get the context of the problems that they're having and the why. The other constituency is Mount Kenya as a whole.
Yes.
Mount Kenya is gone and it's voluminous and it's bitter and it's angry and it's a big mess. And Mount Kenya itself really stood the president the best chance ever, and they're the ones actually who put him in power. So Mount Kenya is gone. Lastly, yes. And you can see how talented Gachagua is when it comes to fighting.
You see, initially,
he has kept himself in the news.
Just hold on.
He's stronger every week and he's stronger every month.
And you see, the other thing
Mount
is,
Kenya.
I will say something about Gachagua, is the fact that initially Gachagua wasn't this powerful.
Yeah.
But they keep on giving him relevance when he's just chilling. So every single time when Gen Z are protesting against bad governance, they say it's Gachagua. It's Gachagua. You're making this guy popular for no reason. So
that's how they grew Joho.
Yes, that's how they've just grown him. Like, he's growing from their perspective. It's reminding me of how Kamala, instead of campaigning, she kept on talking about Trump.
Correct.
That's how Trump
and giving him all the air
exactly that he doesn't require.
Keep listening. The last constituency, Conchita,
yes.
Hustlers. Anybody anauza chapati kwa barabara, mama mboga, anybody roasting maize, watu wa boda boda, these guys are so disappointed because for once they had a leader who said serikali ni ya mtu wa chini, bottom tukienda up. Tuanzie chini tukienda juu. Si serikali ya kupanga mabwenyenye, ni serikali ya mama mboga, ni serikali ya beba.
Watu wa boda, motorbikes.
Nasra Ali, I see you.
Yes.
Ken.
So now you see what happened is what's going on is the fact that the one of the key points that I think the president
those are 6 constituencies numapea.
Tumezimark. Those are
huge boulders.
But you see, the thing is, what the current government keeps on saying is, oh, the government is working. I remember we had a conversation whereby I told you, these guys need to put themselves in the people's shoes, not the other way around. If one day they'll just take an opportunity. Tunakumbuka nikikwambia, ata atoke tu siku atembe. Angalia venye kuko. He will get the gist of like what's happening in the government.
The saddest part, hata akitoka kutembea, Nairobi County ni chafu. Sisi hata studio yetu iko karibu na State House. We're not
tutakuja hapa tukujue na Subaru my.
But there's nothing wrong we've done. Kuongea ukweli si kitu mbaya. There's nothing wrong we've done. Kuongea ukweli is not a bad thing. Sakaja hata, you're not even sweeping the city.
Sakaja. I really don't like that guy.
Stagnant water everywhere.
I really don't like that guy. And you see the thing is,
do you think Babu will do it?
This is let me just answer you. Wacha nimalize point yangu kwanza. My issue is with us people, we have this thing whereby we don't vote for logic, we vote for popularity. Me, I didn't like Dimples for the start. I felt like Polycarp had the most he could be able to do. You just look at someone's CV. Unaona ametoka hapa, ametoka huko, like,
Polycarp wasn't a politician, but
yes,
he
he wasn't a politician. He could not be able to speak to the masses the way Dimples would. Yes. Dimples anakuja pale na smile kading, alafu anambia hapana zi mtu wangu nini nini. Unajua pale Polycarp, he's a cool kid.
Yeah,
yes, and that time tumeambiwa sisi ni mahasla. So we're looking for a fellow hustler mwenye atatusaidia. I feel like Sakaja is the worst after Sonko. Like, literally, he's done.
By the way, after Polycarp was removed, after Sonko was removed, did Polycarp become the governor, or he was due to become the governor?
He was, I think, the deputy.
Yes, but after his boss was removed.
No, you know, with Polycarp, we always say Polycarp has a god. Why
didn't he become the governor after his boss was removed?
I really don't know.
Yeah,
anyway,
Polycarp made a lot of mistakes.
He did. And I feel like we need to have him on the shore.
That golden opportunity that he had, he could have actually been
I feel like we need to have him on the shore. So the other thing, when you ask me about Babu, for me, also with Babu, I'm 50-50. One thing is because with Babu, I know he knows how to handle the goons.
I know he can fight.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I know he can handle the goons.
I see him going after Irungu Nyakare. I say, no, I've known Babu for a long time since on the campus. Babu is vicious.
That's what I'm telling you.
Babu is a leopard.
And Nairobi needs that.
Babu is a leopard.
Nairobi needs a
I've
vicious
been in police
person.
stations when I was in activism with Babu Owino.
Yes. And you said that's the thing.
And even that whole thing that people never like talking about, the thing of DJ Volk. Babu needs normal. But he has a really good side.
That's what I'm telling you. He knows how to handle the goons. And in Nairobi, you need to be able to know how to handle the goons. The cartels and every single person.
True.
And for me, I feel
like right now... And he has a very soft side, by the way.
Yes. Oh my God. I have interviewed, like back in the day.
Not interviewed, interacted.
No,
Babu has a very
I'm telling you,
side
I've
as
interacted with Babu. Back in the day, there's a show I used to do called Beyond Politics.
Okay.
And it was one of my guests. And
he's a nice guy.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But at least when it's business, I feel like
I wonder if he's a Gemini. I'm going to ask him.
Sasa umeanza kwenda kwa nini horoscope.
Unajua Geminis wanakuanga na two sides.
Na sisi Aquariuses tukoaje?
Geminis wanakuanga na a good side and a better side.
Let's
I know
focus.
One.
Now back.
Yes. Next question.
Back to our conversation.
Yes.
So what I was saying is when it comes to the current tuko tunaongea nini history ya takataka nini and all that. For me again, I don't like Dimples because what I know for a fact is with Dimples, he's just good at talking and he's good at looting. Nothing major. And I think yes, I'm calling a spade a spade. And he has mastered it. And for me, it felt so pretentious whereby there's a video. Again, guys, kuna kubebo fala, na kubebo jinga, na kubebo like, what? Unajua ile unashanga. There's a video whereby the goons themselves, it's an expose. They're saying, but akutulipa. And then now you, a whole governor, you go and to a video saying, oh no, I don't condone. It makes you look so guilty.
And these things are unsustainable. Kulipa goons, infiltrated. Though that's the only strategy that they had to have because walikuwa wameshangaa kutaenda aje.
So, and it is crazy.
You want to talk about opposition?
Oh, lordy.
Sound effect.
Ilikuwa ni gani? I don't know if that's the correct one. But, Geo story. I think tunafaa kuwapatia ile intro ya...
I didn't know you were a singer.
We'll be right back. Remember, we're recording live from Spiderweb Studios.
Exactly.
Benji?
Yes.
What in the name of Black Jesus is going on with the united opposition? Hi, boo. I saw that poster, and we have Justin Muturi, Eugene Wamalwa, Kalonzo Musyoka, Riggy G, and Fred Matiang'i. First of all, did you see Fred Matiang'i's interview?
I saw Fred's interview, and again, the full disclosure, disclaimer. In my line of work, I happen to know a lot of these leaders one-on-one. So I know Waziri Matiang'i.
Ooh, bragging rights.
No, it's important because when you are in a public discourse, it is very important that you are honest, that you don't pretend to not having links and whatnot. So Fred has been my friend, my boss, actually, in the past. He's very able. He's very competent.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's able as far as...
Oh, I thought you said evil. So you said
very
able.
Yeah, he's very able.
It's not twang.
As far as,
My
for
bad.
instance, as far as, for instance, saying, I need a road here. Kind of how Fred Matiang'i is the only minister that could rise to the level of former Interior Minister John Michuki. I need this done. And
Can I just like raise my hand like, teacher? Let me tell you, I remember, and this is one of the memories of
when he switched off the...
No. Mm-hmm. When he said, I am giving you until tomorrow.
Yeah.
Huduma number. Wazazi wetu walikuwa wanapigania na kwa line. Everyone was just like, hey, rushing.
Yeah, that's him. And even changing over from the analog to the digital system for TV transmissions. And even when he warned them against transmitting Raila's fake swearing in, etc., etc. So he's able to do that. And some of these things are not things you can learn in university. It's something that has to be in your bloodstream. It's why President Uhuru used him, to run a lot of different things, etc. He made a few mistakes.
Yes.
For instance, there's a question about his net worth that he didn't tackle well.
Yeah, that wasn't so good.
Yes, there are a few mistakes he made. Of course, they harassed Miguna big time and defied many court orders. But Fred Matiang'i has a lot of what it takes. The other mistake that he made is Matiang'i actually had a real chance if he started modeling himself for leadership earlier rather than later.
But so was he exiled? Because immediately when the new president was sworn in, sorry, our current president, I keep on calling him new. Okay. Sorry, Billy, do not call for me Subaru. My bad. Oju jokes. So, with the current president, the moment that he was sworn in, Matiang'i was MIA from the country. Was it personal?
He was actually around for a while and then he was MIA. And before he was MIA, there were a few, altercations here and there.
Yeah.
So again, he could have modeled himself from before. And I think it took too long to make a decision. Sometimes timing is everything. He took too long to make a decision. He's also seen as a puppet and a project of somebody.
The former president.
Would be the fourth president.
I got that.
So some of these are liabilities that can cost you big time. When you're talking about presidency, you're talking about showcasing sterling leadership. And that brings me to my next point.
Which is?
The united opposition is strong. Definitely it is strong. It is well resourced.
It is.
But the problem is, it is also the past.
It is also the problem.
It is also the past.
It is also the problem. And that's the same thing when I saw this.
It's not a fresh start.
It is not. And you see, for me, is when I look at someone like Kalonzo Musyoka, I'm sorry.
Who's been in power for 40 years.
Who's been in power, I don't know, for... There's nothing he's done for the Kamba people.
That's true.
There's no development. There's nothing he's done for the Kamba people.
If you ask him, he'll say, well, I was never a governor.
No. But you see, the thing is, if you look at, I'll say this other side from Thika Road, Kwendoko, Nini, Sedzakina, Murima, and you look at this side of Kambani, there's
Lower Eastern.
It was bad. So for me,
his CV is weak.
Yes, his CV is big, but his work, his KPIs,
his CV is weak.
His KPIs wasn't so.
He was also my boss, by the way, and
but he
these
didn't
guys
deliver.
are the past.
He didn't deliver. Let's go to Eugene Omala. Eugene Omala was in devolution.
The weakest CS defense. We shouldn't even say much more than that. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, next. Justin Muturi.
Justin Muturi is a nice guy.
But
he's a close friend of President Uhuru. Justin Muturi, as Speaker of the National Assembly, is responsible for a lot of the retrogressive bills that we have in place today. A lot of the attempts, like what Pasaris is doing today, to amend the constitution, to emasculate parliament, to prop up a dictatorial or imperial president, a lot of those attempts were made under Justice Muturi as Speaker.
Can I ask for a favor?
Yes.
Please do not put Justin Muturi and Pasari on the same line.
You have to, because Justice Muturi would have been her speaker, and he's responsible for the kind of bills that were passed, including the security bill of, I believe it was 2014. So he's not blameless at all. Next.
Then the other person is Rigiji. He has amassed
Not
popularity.
much should be said about Rigiji. Rigiji is a tribalist. Rigiji is very... Rigiji ni mshamba. He's just strong. He's just strong and he's very resourced. He's wealthy. But you know what Rigiji did? How can you stand in public and say that we have a government here where some have shares, some have more shares than others, and some have absolutely no share in this government?
But let's call
kazi yangu
a
ni
spade.
kusimama kwa ikulu, kuangalia wale wanatafuta kazi na kuwatoa kwa line, kuwarudisha nyuma.
Let's call a spade a spade. Atumesema alikuwa anafanya nini?
Kutoa watu kwa line, kuwapeleka
nyuma. He said he's a tribalist.
Yes.
Which is true. Yes. Yeah, which is true.
Yeah. And so we must be very real.
And then we have Fred Matiang'i.
Yeah, so Fred, we just talked about Matiang'i. I believe there'll be a bit of squabble about who should be the flag bearer. But eventually, I know the opposition will field one candidate and one candidate only.
That's what I'm telling you. If I was this opposition, the united opposition, TUO. Yeah.
You actually omitted the most important guy in that opposition.
Who is?
His upcoming fast. He's very steadfast.
Who?
Governor George Natembeya.
He's not on the list.
He should be.
Me, I'm looking at the poster from the wiper.
He should be. Actually, he's
he's
their
not
host.
there.
He's their host in Western.
I like Nini. He's
and
cool.
that's what I'm saying. You know,
Like,
I always
he's-
choose my words very
Yeah,
carefully. George
he's really,
Natembeya
Natembeya is really cool.
a type A male. He's a man's man.
Yeah.
He's very
like
strong. He's a former.
I like the guy.
He's a former state operative.
Even when you see
He's
whatever
very
he speaks,
disciplined. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
He's quite
and he's
okay.
very strong. Yeah. So that's an upcoming guy who in time will easily eclipse both His Excellency Mudavadi and Speaker Wetangula.
Oh my God, I'd even forgotten about Mudavadi. He still exists.
Yeah. And he's a former vice president, you know.
Oh, that's how
current-
much. That's how much.
And current.
That's how much is just.
And a former deputy prime minister. And current.
I couldn't even remember that.
Prime cabinet
I
secretary.
couldn't remember that because there's nothing major that he did to
And that's
make it stick.
that's a mark of leadership is people must remember you for something.
Yeah.
It's not just about holding position. And so there's a lot of weakness in the matrix. There's a lot of deficit across the board. Look at how many advisors the president currently has.
What are they advising
and that
the president?
explains the hole that the president finds himself in.
So do you think this will be the new opposition?
The current government?
Because we honestly don't have an opposition right now.
Yeah,
So
the
the way they've
opposition-
done it, the positioning themselves is the position of the government. And for me, all I'm just thinking of is it's just a matter of time before they're being bought.
No, the opposition has a chance. We also didn't include Martha Karua.
Oh,
strong.
I love Mother.
I saw her
Shout out
interview 2 days
Mother.
ago. It
Oh
was-
my God. I would
it was
really love
savage.
to interview her.
I saw
I'd
her
like to
interview.
have a
I'll try and get her.
conversation
She's
with
a friend
her.
of mine as well. I've worked with her as well.
Because I have so many questions.
Her interview was savage. Her
Which is
interview
okay.
and her beef with the president is legendary. It goes back at least 15, 20 years.
For me, all I'll just say is the united opposition, it's not it for me. If at all we're going to have a new leadership, we need new, fresh faces that have not
True.
been here. Because all these have been the problems.
True. And the reason is, because I like trying to give you the political science side of things.
Me, I'm just a citizen.
We need to change our politics because even for the opposition, you see, our politics has been wrong in the sense, Conchi, that it is defined and built around the wrong things. Our politics are built around lies.
Popularity,
It's not even popularity, it is tribal mobilization,
which is no longer working. Now we're establishing that.
deception, manipulation. And so these guys who are on this side today were on the other side yesterday.
That's what I'm telling
And
you.
the other time,
And that's why I have trust
for example,
issues.
Kalonzo was Raila's
Buddy.
partner, who Raila today is Ruto's partner. Before that,
Money
Kalonzo
talks.
was Raila's arch enemy
Yes.
when he was trying to take Raila out. And before that, they were in ODM together. So it's just a game of musical chairs. And by the way, most of all these guys, 90% of them, were all in KANU together. President Uhuru was a former chair of KANU. Ruto, the president, was a youth for KANU 92 mobilizer. All right? Kalonzo was a KANU minister.
Tumepangwa.
Yeah, it's just, it's...
Nikupangwa.
And Rigathi Gachagua was not only a district commissioner in KANU, but he was also the personal assistant of the former KANU chairman and the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. So these are all people that are deeply intertwined, who have made their name and their wealth
True.
oppressing Kenyans.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, it's a
Okay.
full... This is deception.
And so when you talk about remaking the country, rebuilding a kind of
It's not. I
a
don't trust
politics
them.
that is devoid of this kind of stuff,
I don't trust them.
it's more of the same.
For me, what I'll suggest is this united opposition, they should just combine forces and they support someone like Maraga. Or Rukia.
That's true. But the other pitfall with people like Maraga is a good guy. But I hate to say this on air, but you must be very careful because the other pitfall is guys like those sometimes are quietly propped up as a project behind the scenes. So I'm not going to say more. I always have a lot of
I
information.
like how you're filtering.
Yeah, you have to be very
it.
careful.
I know
Yes.
it is alleged.
Yeah.
We just say
I have worked with
alleged.
Omtata. Omtata is a great warrior for human rights,
Yes.
but presidency also is very demanding and requires very many things. So I'm not sure Omtata is very... We're still looking for the kind of
For me,
clear-eyed
I feel like
focus.
Umtata can be someone who's like a Dodge for Kenya.
Yes, but he doesn't have the clear-eyed focus of two guys who are also different, but they had the clear-eyed determination. Barack Obama, Donald Trump. If you go back and look at Obama's history, you can see absolute determination and full. If you ask Mtata today, first he'll wear a crucifix. Kenya is not for Catholics. Then he'll tell you, well, he'll waver, etc.
Dude, you're just chilling.
Yeah, no, it's important. We must say the truth.
It is true.
And under enough pressure, maybe he'll change that crucifix, or I don't know. But he's a great guy, like I said. I've worked
I don't
with
think
him.
he can change who he is. He is who he says he is. And for me, all I'm just saying is, at the end of the day, this united opposition is just not for me.
And what baffles me, and I've said this before, Conchita.
Yeah.
Given that Mwai Kibaki was a vice president to Moi for 10 years, Mwai Kibaki was in Kanu for all those years. If you're a political scientist and you go and analyze the third president's rule,
Yes.
I just found it so baffling how clear-eyed President Kibaki was.
I know.
He didn't really suffer confusion. He didn't speak much. Things were
He
just
was for the
happening.
people.
CDF is there. It's rolling.
Speaking
Figaro
of
is happening.
CDF, now let's.
I don't even understand. I never understand how Kibaki did it.
Let's just like take
I don't
a break.
understand how Kibaki did
Let's
it.
take a break and then we come to our last
He
conversation.
didn't really threaten anyone. He was just moving, and he was even an old man.
Benji, please take us on a
Kibaki
break.
left office at age
Take us on a
81.
break. Benji, wewe najua pa utanyamaza.
It's just crazy. We're in
Benji,
such mess.
we'll be right back. Anyway, so Benji, you were always on fire, and I'm so sorry, my darling, that you were made mad by the government. Lakini sio peke yako.
Yes.
You talked about CDF. Did you see what the MPs did? All of a sudden, they were full house when it comes to matters.
Yeah, because it's what they used to dole out cash and to,
But
it's
now when it
just-
comes to people's issues,
so it's
that's
contrary
that's not
to-
even a problem to them.
It's contrary to the constitution. And you see, now we don't have leaders. So watu wanataka tu pesa ya umma kujipa
Is it because
umaarufu
they
nayo.
know? Is it because they know they're not coming for the second term?
Of course.
So now it's like loose.
Especially
ends.
now. I think we'll have a 10% re-election at best. Especially now. Hakuna wasa atarudi. So even guys who are independent-minded, even guys like myself, ukitaka kurun, now is the time to run. And make sure you never walk the path of these idiots. Awa wameharibu, awa wamechoma
Hey,
kuchoma.
wamebant.
Awa itakuwa tu 10% ndio watarudi. The MPs are not going to come back, even the senators.
I think it's high time that that change happens.
Kenyans have
because
never been this awake and have never been this disillusioned and disappointed
like the fact that
with
we're
the
this
leadership.
awake
And that's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. But you see, the thing is, despite the moment of being awake and despite the moment of like trying to be really, really honest in terms of like what we want, they still don't believe. It's like they're so delusional. They're not understanding that. Me, when I went to the street, I wasn't paid to go to the street. It wasn't a paid operation.
It's not about that, yeah.
It is because I'm looking at home and I'm looking at, I have a brother who has a degree, he has no job. I have a mother who is supposed to be retiring right now, but instead...
Things are bad for the
But
youth.
instead, my mother is still working so that I can work, so that the other person can work,
Yeah,
such
it's
that
terrible.
everyone can bring...
Just to survive.
Haba na haba, yes.
Just to survive.
But now, when I hear people telling us...
Is Sha working?
We'll come to Sha.
To be
after
fair, in
that.
our work kiasi, but
Some point in our work, but see kila mahali.
The government needs to deliver more.
The
the government,
it's working
yeah,
to some
extent,
point,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not fully
yeah, but the
implemented.
government needs to deliver 10 times more.
They need
on
to.
every
So
score.
back to this situation. So the thing is, when they say that the economy is doing good, it's not really doing good because we, the people,
course it's not.
like me as a Kenyan citizen, I feel it. I know how it is.
Yeah.
The other thing, it's more of like, I don't understand how they, again, like I said, they're so delusional to the idea that they still think it's about them.
Yeah, it's never about them. In fact, I
not
tell the
about
mother all the
them,
time.
like,
So one of the big
it's
mistakes that happened,
mind-blowing.
one of the big mistakes that
What is
happened, one of
wrong
the
with
guys
people?
that messed up the worst, Conchita, is DIG Lagat. Lagat is the guy that was the trigger for these protests from last week.
Did you see he
that
was released?
intensified? Sabasaba ndio inakuja next week.
The court found him that he's not guilty.
No, that's ridiculous. That's,
he's working.
These are the guys that are completely shitting on the constitution and really driving. He has been a disservice,
Benji,
and I think that he's there because the president wanted him to be the
moment
IG.
you're talking about that, you're being kidnapped. Now let's go to the recent kidnapped guy that wanasema aliji abduct.
Ndiangui.
I don't think
Big
he
mistake.
I'm sorry, I don't think he kidnapped himself.
Yeah, so what I think.
Listen, let me
Yeah.
just tell you what I
All
think.
right.
I think what happened is alikidnapiwa,
Yes.
akafanywa ile kitu, na akaambiwa ukirudi, sema you're in hiding. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I think they
That's-
cut a deal. I think because the
Yes.
national hunger was so much. I think he was abducted. Yes,
He was.
And then
He
they
was definitely
start.
abducted.
I think there was also given something. Yeah, because the situation was very, very. The government is things are very unstable.
I feel the government knows everything, but they're not supposed to use it against. The moment I tell you, like, But the Benji, hiyo shati haikai poa.
Na-
So utanishika uniingize
na hata
jela.
Ndiangui ameblanda sana because a lot of people have fought for him and prayed for him and
It is
stood
very
for him.
disappointing,
Yeah, so amekuwa very not strong, and he needs to understand that. But also what he also posted was crazy. I saw what he posted.
You did? How did not say? I just
Yeah,
saw
the one
that
in,
that
no,
meme.
he's the one who posted that program in blue, and it was
All the blue.
that blue program. Yeah. So if you write stuff like that, some of these things Gen Zs are doing. That's what I'm saying. There's also a lot of ignorance on their part. There's a lot of, they're very green. Gen Z mean well, and they're very focused
Yes.
on what they want.
Yes.
But then they also are very impractical. If you write something like
mean
that,
that we
I'm not
need-
surprised 10 cars came for him.
Does it mean that we need like a manifesto for Gen Z?
We just need sustained civic education for Gen Z. We need support. We need them not to be scared more. We need Gen X and baby boomers. One of the big
Baby boomers are the weakest link.
One of the big weaknesses
The
for
biggest
boomers is how
weakest
they
link.
just preach fear. That's one of the big weaknesses. They just
Yes.
tell you, "Oh, don't post anything.
I
Mtoto
know.
wangu hope hujaandika chochote kuhusu serikali. Sitaki uwawe." That kind of thinking will never deliver this country to anything. So
I know,
the Gen
and
Z
that's the
courage
thing.
must be celebrated and supported and promoted always.
And please, when we celebrate the Gen Z stroke millennials, and one thing I'm just going to put it out there, I will say the other thing that most people need to understand is 70% of the people who also joined the Gen Z movement were millennials.
Yes.
This is because one, millennials are the most, and this is practical. This is how millennials we were raised. Millennials were raised that you go to school, you get educated. After you get educated, you get a job.
And
You
all those
sustain
things
the
have just
family.
not worked.
So now these things are not working. So the people who are going to the street mostly saying atuna kazi, it's millennials.
And Alfred
Because-
Mutua is telling
yes.
them, go to Saudi Arabia and wash houses.
to be and
No
watch
food and
and
go. It's
go
terrible.
and wash snakes and whatever.
Complete and wholesome change does not include Kina Raila and all these funny things they're doing and UDA, etc. So I just want to give that as kind of a closing remark, because there is hope, and people, as long as voters are very disciplined to discard tribalism, looting, corruption, to see light at the end of the tunnel and the silver lining on the cloud, it is all possible. And it's going to happen. I believe that.
So for me, what I'm going to just say is very simple. Stop comparing Kenya to Singapore. I've been to Singapore, and I can guarantee you those guys, they don't joke with corruption. First of all,
And they use our blueprints.
Yes. First of all, this is the most corrupt government we've ever seen. We know it. It's an open corruption.
That's sad.
And the fact that we have normalized corruption, it's so bad. Do you know how much 1B is?
Exactly.
But the fact that when we're
It can
told
be
that
used to build a church.
the fact that we're being told that 1 billion is just being used for something, yet this
Or
can
Kindiki
be,
can carry it
be-
for empowerment.
Yes, yet this is something that can be
Unbelievable.
used to,
Build a
build
church.
build schools, better things that will enable the economy grow. No, so
But
just
it's buying shoes and belts.
Stop comparing Kenya to developed countries that don't entertain the corruption that we have.
Exactly. So the corruption is
it's not gonna
unacceptable.
work. Yes.
From the blue corner, my name is Benji Ndolo here on Let's Call a Spade a Spade. My co-host has been
Conchita.
Conchita is
Thank you
just
so much for joining us.
beautiful
See
soul.
you.
You guys, thanks for listening and joining us. That's our time. We're going to do
Yes.
this again next week and again and again. Send your questions, send your concerns.
Every Friday.
Send your comments. Every Friday we'll be live here, and follow us. Follow me on Twitter at Benji Ndolo, also on TikTok. And you?
Mine is just at Leon Conchita. Again, Subaru, do not follow me.
And Conchita, it's a
Bye
weekend.
bye.
Take me somewhere this weekend. Just a polite
I'm broke,
bash.
hatuna pesa kwa gava.
Na pia tunatafuta sponsor wa hii show, so mtutafute ndio tuseme show imeletwa kwenyu. For example, na rafiki yetu anaitwa na aje wale wa property.
SSS developers.
Yes, SSS developers, they're good people. Reportage properties.
Yes.
Shout out to you guys. We love you guys. And we'll do this again. Shout out to our producer. He's a great guy. His name is Jay.
Jeremy in the house. I like how we're just psyching every single people. But again, guys, this is where we
Due to
end
tunapenda.
it.
We don't psych people we don't like.
This is where we end it. Remember, this was recorded at Spiderweb Studios. So
Exactly.
you're home of any
On State House
recording
Road.
on State House Road. So give us a shout out. Bye-bye
From the
and
blue
enjoy
corner.
your weekend.
Cheers. Asante. Nice weekend.